With analog horror becoming massively popular throughout the last couple of years, there have been many series highlighted for good reason. And while it has become a big staple, a very similar medium, digital horror, has proven to be just as interesting. The series I'm going to be covering today is one of my favorites, and was created by RemyAbode, the creator of Gemini Home Entertainment. Despite this, it hasn't gotten much recognition. In fact, I only learned about it in Sagan Hawks' video about digital horror and the rebirth of creepypasta. The runtime of the entire series is less than 12 minutes. However, this series is a masterclass in using this formula to perfection. Even if this was the entire story, I would still hold it as one of the best internet series I've ever seen. Of course, this is not only for its storytelling and atmosphere, but for the way it revitalizes an old internet boogeyman in a new, fresh way. So, let's get into it. The first video, titled Morley Grove, begins on an old YouTube page, specifically on a video uploaded by user SuperPilot Jordan on May 15th of 2009. The description reads, "Kids' faces in Morley Grove, Tennessee appear all messed up before disappearances. 1969 proof." The authenticity of the whole thing is enhanced by the Bandicam logo at the top of the screen. The video plays, showing us several of these kids' faces, which, to the uploader's credit, do appear quite messed up. As the video gets to the last face, it zooms in on something in the background, but right before we can get a good look at it. However, if we stop at the right frame, we can see a familiar silhouette in the woodline. We then go to a screen that says, Morley Grove Spectres, audio. Recorded February 2007. The audio is, well, the only thing we can ascertain is what sounds like screaming, likely from the missing children who are referred to as Morley Grove Spectres. The person recording this likely is running away in fear, hence what sounds like wind into the microphone. Moving on to the next video, Birthday 2005, we begin with footage in the wilderness, which appears to be very old, much older than 2005 at least. We can assume the date of 1969 due to the clues we've been given so far. It appears there's some logging going on in Morley Grove. Then, it seems like this family is on a camping trip, or at least close by. Not much is of particular note until about 20 seconds in, when we see a woodline. It's not obvious at first, but a particular figure is standing in the trees. Again, looking very familiar to most, probably. The man is extremely tall, and you can even see his arm move before it cuts away. Maybe the logging in the area woke this creature. Then we see a clip of a kid who seems to be a focus before cutting to the card. Happy Birthday Dustin, 2005. Already, we can begin to speculate a few things about this. The kid in the video is likely Dustin, as the title card follows shortly after, and they look similar, despite the blur covering his face. And also, While we aren't sure why yet, we know the footage and disappearances occurred in 1969. Therefore, the birthday video being dated 2005 and being made in more modern technology, likely Windows Movie Maker, is certainly strange. But put a pin in that. The video proceeds, showing several photos of Dustin and friends in a very liminal space looking style of picture while playing the song You Are My Sunshine. Besides the uncanny feeling of these pictures, the obvious thing of note here is that Dustin's face is blurred in every picture. At the end of the video, the last picture is cut off before we can get a good look at it. But since we are very smart, we go back and get a closer look. We see Dustin next to a swing set and some trees. But wait, is that one tree blurred? The third video, Morley Missing, picks up in the comment section of the previous video. We don't see who uploaded this, but our friend Super Pilot Jordan is back in the comments. Someone asks if the video is a joke, as all the photos are way older than 2005. While Super Pilot Jordan states that this video is about the Morley Grove specters, another commenter has his doubts and proceeds to mock him for believing in ghosts. Jordan pleads that he has proof and to check his channel tomorrow. However, that isn't enough to sway this Redditor from continuing his mockery. We go to a website that is documenting the missing specters with pictures of each kid and their distorted faces. When we get to Dustin, the picture won't load. On the next section labeled First-Hand Accounts, we get some eyewitness testimony about the events. I want to take a second here to applaud the authenticity so far with this series and its date. This website's layout actually reminds me of one in particular from this time period. Have You Seen This Man? Was a popular creepypasta / hoax from the time, which had a very similar layout, including the eyewitness account section. Maybe this is a stretch by me, but I feel like RemyAbode captures the era perfectly with his website design. The accounts talk about a figure called the Morley Man, who was described at least 20 feet tall and is supposedly the one taking the kids. Someone even states that looking at it felt like he took part of their soul. With this, any doubt we have about the connections to another popular figure disappear. This series is clearly a retelling of the Slender Man story. However, with Slender Man being copyrighted, the moniker of the Morley Man is very fitting to me. But at the very least, the entity we are working with here is directly inspired. The next video is titled Morley Drive and starts off with a phone call. The text at the bottom lets us know that it takes place in 2010. Someone is called 911 and they appear to be a child. However, when they speak, we hear a garbled mess of what sounds like kids either crying or screaming, with a strange droning noise in the background. However, the operator responds as if they understand them.
911. Okay, they're there right now. Do you know who they are? Okay, are you safe right now?
The dispatcher sends someone to the house, and we get our trademark analog horror dashcam footage. Everything is normal here from what I can tell, except a weird part where the time skips a minute ahead despite the footage not reflecting that. However, when the police arrive at 23 Morley Drive at 2:27 a.m., they inform the residents of this incident. However, the video ends on that great twist, and we are starting to get more pieces to put this thing together. Morley Ghost takes place entirely from one camera angle facing a dark room. There are some disembodied voices, likely of a child, that are hard to make out. We then see some shadows of something off screen before a cat walks into the room. However, it stops, startled and staring at something in the darkness. We zoom in, but it's hard to make anything out. When we pull back out, the cat is gone, The room then slowly darkens as if a dark presence has made its way in. The presence leaves, and a robotic child's voice says what sounds like, "Help me, he's here right now," before silence. Then, in one of my favorite scares in a series like this, we hear the footsteps of something running before hitting the camera from behind, knocking it out of place. This is great because we don't have to even see anything for the jump scare to work. The tension of this series, of course, helps and lends to the effectiveness of this scare. Finally, we made it to the last video, Birthday 2010. We open with some strange music and blurry red footage of what appears to be a birthday party. We then cut to the article which reads, "Ghost Child Scares Couple Out of the Home," and references the Ghost 911 call from the Morley Grove video. Then we get a rehash of the Happy Birthday Dustin video, but this time with the date of 2010, and, well, he looks worse than before. Even stranger, in the slideshow, Dustin isn't just blurred, he has been completely removed. Then we see the swing set and he's gone. But so is that other blurred tree. Maybe it was never a tree at all. We get a picture of the cat from Morley Ghost, but something is different. There is a blurred square in the darkness. It zooms into it, and if it hasn't become clear, Dustin's spirit is in that darkness. We end on the title card. And that's the end of the series, or at least so far. Remy has hinted that there is more to come, and I really hope that's the case because I have loved it so far. After looking through this series, we can start to pull a few strings together. Although we are unsure who is making these birthday videos, we can be certain that the dates are inaccurate. Dustin, along with the other kids, were taken by the Morley man in 1969. However, it seems something is left lingering of them. Remnants have been left of their spirits and are still haunting the area, in the form of Morley Grove specters. However, one in particular seems desperate to be known. Dustin is making his presence felt, and in fact he has reached out through the phone calls, and maybe he is the one creating the birthday PowerPoints. This is only speculation on my part, but it's clear that his attempts to reach someone have only angered the Morley man. It seems the consequence of this attempted cry for help is being further removed from existence. Images are disappearing, his presence is being erased from history entirely. Something I haven't figured out is, who is investigating this? Super Pilot Jordan seems to be around in the 2009 to 2010 era these videos were recorded in, but we see in the playlist that these videos were posted somewhere else before, archived from Alter 90 pre-deletion. Whoever Alter 90 was, they had screen recorded these videos and put them together on a since deleted channel. Then, someone else had archived them and uploaded them. Were Super Pilot Jordan or Alter 90 personally involved in any way? It seems unlikely. They simply seem to be internet users who have stumbled upon a mystery and have tried to get the word out. But then, what happened to Alter 90's channel? I believe that if this series continues, maybe we will find out. I imagine that uncovering these tapes and spreading this message cannot lead to anything good. In fact, Slenderman's mythos from the beginning has been a monster that spreads through media. And so far, Remy has been faithful to the original story, at least in the themes. All I know for sure is that I am excited to see where this goes. As someone who has always been a fan of the Slenderman and has wanted to see him portrayed in actually good media, this series has been refreshing. Series like these are the reason why monsters like the Slenderman never truly die off.